Liz, a pleasure. But am I allowed to call you Elizabeth, or we're still on Liz territory right here?
Well, I go by Liz, but you can call me Elizabeth. But
I
I
know,
go,
Screen Actors Guild kind of stuff. You never know what the name the person wants to be called, but you are Liz to everybody that you like and that likes you.
yeah,
Well,
you can
Liz.
call me Liz. Yeah, but it is my professional name. Is Elizabeth.
Union stuff. Well, either way, thank you for taking the time. And is it a good day aside from talking about yourself a lot and answering the same questions over and over and over again?
Oh yeah, and I've just started answering questions, so I haven't had the over and over again yet. So
Okay, well, I will give you all the cliches possible. We'll
excellent.
start off with season three, still critically acclaimed, still commercially successful. When you first landed this role, how
Mhm.
far ahead were you looking? Did you think it was going to be a long-term show?
I didn't know it was going to be a long-term show. I found out quite soon that they were hoping that that there'd be a certain number of years, but I wasn't even clear on that. I think I've come as a Canadian actor, I have particularly come to to a point where I'm like, of course, my hopes are things I love will last, but I know they don't necessarily. So I'm pretty practical about it, even though
Wow.
I know, please stay.
Well, it's fantastic to see how much of a priority the show is because if you were to describe the show to, one of those TV critics things 15 years ago, this isn't a show that, in my opinion, somebody would have gone, this is the hit. This is the long-term one. So it's the rare case where the really great writing and the journeyman kind of cast perseveres. But who had you known before landing the role within the cast, if anybody?
Personally
Yeah,
or professionally?
personally.
Personally, Cliff Saunders, Dale, but he wasn't cast initially. No, I don't think I knew any. Oh no, I did. I lie. Simon, who plays Ethan, we'd been on a series together for
Oh,
a year,
wow.
for a season on a totally different kind of series. So Simon was the only person I knew.
I would have thought the answer was going to be Scott because both of you have
No,
similar careers where you're doing this horror stuff now, the horror, the drama, but then you have this friendly voiceover, kid friendly career going at the same time.
we had never met, but my husband Cliff knows Scott, and actually they used to be on Total Drama Island. They were on something together. They did a voice things together. But no, like he was in theater in Toronto. I never crossed paths with him in theater. No. And we get along like a house on fire. We adore each other, but we'd never met.
Got it. So do you come from the theater background as well? I
Yeah.
should have done my IMDb research, but I didn't.
The theater's not really on my IMDb. I think it's in the back of the IMDb Pro. But yeah, no, theater was where I started and still occasionally do, not as much, but yeah. No, the first
That,
half of my career was very much theater.
back in the olden days, you couldn't really do theater and film and TV. Nowadays, you can do everything. You could do
Yeah.
Hallmark movies and horror, etc. But what was your jumping off point from being a theater person to a TV person?
I think it was fairly it was I eased and I didn't even know I was easing. I just started getting more TV and and kind of eased out of film. Also because we had children, it was easier for me to do film and TV because theater often meant you went out of town for a really long amount of time. Um, and Cliff, my husband, is was doing a lot of theater too. Um, so I sort of eased into it, and then there was a show, Mary Kills People, that was sort of for me, not just because of what it was, but because of the timing and other things going on that I went, oh, this is working for me. I like this. So
Got
that
it.
was a big switch for me. That was the time period.
So I'm hearing accidental organic success.
I don't know, accidental. It was organic. I don't think accidental, no, but organic.
Well, it's not one of those kinds of successes that happen where you booked a gig because you're leaving your headshot in the windshield wipers of casting directors.
No, no, I would never do that. Ever, ever.
Yeah. So, right now at this point in time, you're very synonymous with the Donna character, but I can tell there's very little Donna in the human being that I'm speaking with right now. So, is it difficult for you to get into the Donna character?
No, not at all. There's a side there's a part of me that is very Donna. But Donna is an expanded version of her. Um it's yeah, but no, it's not that it's not hard to do it, but I do feel I have to honor that it meets a certain uh Donna-ness every episode.
There you go. And my last question before I let you go, and Scott had a great answer for this. I said, "What's the last concert that you went to?" And he's talked about seeing Fishbone. What's the last concert that you saw?
The last,
Endor Cliff.
the last concert that was hard because I had a bunch lined up when COVID hit. I think the last concert I went to was LP.
Oh, she's been a guest on my show
Has
like
she really?
3 times.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
don't
She's
call her Laura. Don't
pardon?
call her a government name.
Oh no, I wouldn't dare call her Laura. Now, my last concert was I'm pretty sure it was LP. And then stupid COVID came along. And I literally had like three concerts all booked and ready to go and done.
Well, hopefully 2025 brings you a lot of concerts. But in the
Yeah.
meantime,
Yeah.
keep up all the greatness and looking forward to what's to come. You have a lot of acting gigs besides from, and it's fantastic to see how steadily working you've been all these years, the past decade or so.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I feel really fortunate.
Paltrocast. Thank you for taking the time. How's your day going aside from talking about yourself and this great movie over and over and over again?
My day is going fantastic as it usually is. I'm feeling very blessed today.
Hashtag blessed. And
Yes.
uh, we are talking full disclosure on Halloween. It's a Halloween friendly movie, but it came out last month. Did you realize
Yes.
when you were making it that you kind of had a Halloween perennial, something that every year people could watch this time of year?
Well, yeah, I would like to think and hope that when people are ready around Halloween time, they want to watch Wineville and that it is and becomes a cult classic. That is my dream.
There you go. So when did you actually film and wrap on the film?
We filmed it in, oh my gosh, it was a year and a half ago. So not this past July, but the June before it last.
And
Yeah, it's been like a 3-year process, really, from pre-production to post-production to getting it out there. It's been almost 3 years.
right, you have the distinction of not only being the face of the film on camera, but directing it. And you've had success before producing and acting and all of that. But do you know outright that you want to direct and star in the film?
Well, I knew that I was going to be producing it and starring in it. And it was just kind of a natural progression that I ended up actually directing it. But the only reason why I actually was okay with it is because alongside me was Richard Shankman, who wrote the script and who
Mm-hmm.
is an amazing director, writer, producer himself. So I had him as my mentor every step of the way.
I thought you were going to say, because alongside me, I had my son, because we see you in the film.
And he was on the other side. And he made my life easy because he came to set prepared and was a great little actor, along with everybody else. Everybody else uh, was so fantastic. I'm so lucky that I had actors that were professional, that came to set, prepared, ready to go, and got it in the first and second takes.
Wow. Can't
Yeah.
say that for most productions that the people get along and they do the job well.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. And
Yeah, it was fantastic.
and getting the housekeeping out of the way with it. for some filmmakers, the best way to support a film is to get it on this service or that service or DVD. What's the best way to watch the film that benefits you and the team?
Well, I think with any film in the theater, but it already had its theater run, so now we're streaming. But of course, surround sound, right? You want to have a big screen and surround sound. I'd rather people watch it on their TV than on their phone or their computer, because having that surround sound and then the big TV is just it engulfs you in it, right? You just want to be immersed in it. So that's the best way to watch it. And
In
with someone that you can hold on to.
There you go. In terms of your career, though, and speaking of horror, Baywatch was the first really big credit. And then, of course, Starsky and Hutch was a big deal. But so we primarily saw you in more comedy and lighthearted kind of things. But since you've been growing and growing as a producer, should we expect more horror related things for you as a producer and a director?
Um, you'll definitely see more thriller, horror, crime stuff coming from me as both an actress and a producer. I'm actually leaving next month to go shoot another horror film called The Treehouse, which is very much like Poltergeist meets Stranger Things. But it's just something as far as me and my mind and the way that my sick and demented head works. I have a book of all of my my outlines of different films and show ideas, and they really are they're pretty demented. They're down in that thriller, horror, crime genre for sure. I'm just what comes out of me is just pretty crazy.
So that means you are thinking a couple of projects ahead. That's what I'm hearing.
Oh, always. Yeah, I have my idea book that I write in all the time.
Have you always been that way?
Yeah. The sick and demented part actually was a progression from when I was 6 years old because my family is very huge into horror films, very huge into Halloween. And my very first movie was The Exorcist, watching with my mom, and then went on from there watching all the Rabid, The Brood, Sleepaway Camp, like everything you could imagine. That's just what we did as a family. We watched horror films. So my crazy sick mind was, it started at a young age.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's just a progression of that.
Well, I was thinking in a different direction when I was saying,
Oh.
are you always like that? Because 20 years ago, the stars of the films generally were not writing or directing. And I think it
Mhm.
was maybe the Apatow revolution where the person would star in one or two films, and then you'd realize that they had a bunch of things on the slate as a director, producer, writer,
Yeah.
etc. So in other words, it wasn't really always possible to write and act. But other people, you find out it was the grand plan from all along. So, for example, when you were on Baywatch, did you know,
Mhm.
hey, one day I want to also be the creative person?
Well, I could even go as far back as 6 years old. When I was 6 years old, I was putting on performances in my parents' living room. I'd set up chairs and I'd go around to all the neighbors and sell tickets. I was writing songs in my room. I was, creating the skits. It's just something, again, that's just, I've done my whole life. It's just, I come from a very creative family. My mom is an artist. And her grandfather is an artist. Like it's just we're in that kind of creative vibe. That's the way I've always been.
And aside from the films, the upcoming production, all that, is anything happening on the entrepreneurial end? Because I have read about the shoe line used to have, or maybe still have.
No,
Okay,
I still have the shoes.
you still have the
Yeah.
shoes, not the shoe line. Is anything though coming up for that, or is being a mother and a wife and producing and acting, is that plenty?
You know what? I used to try to do it all because I have a vineyard. I was creating my own wine. I have again a whole plethora of like ideas of things that I've created and I want to create. And I started trying to create all these things. But then when I realized you can't, something's going to fall short. And the thing that I love the most is filmmaking. So I had to cut the ties, cut everything else, and now I strictly focus on my kids and filmmaking, and that is it. Those are the two things. My job in life and my goal in life is to raise two wonderful human beings, gentlemen who are going to do something good in this world. And right behind that is filmmaking and creating stuff that I'm proud of, that I create out of my own mind. So that's number two. But that's it. That's all I have time for.
Should we expect your son in the next film?
He would, but as long as he doesn't have to audition, he's tired of auditioning. He just wants to play football now.
Right. He wants to get the offers. He's
Exactly. And I said, kid, that's what we all want. We all want everyone just to send us offers,
there. Well, last
Yeah.
question before I let you go has nothing to do with Wineville and how proud you should be of it. It's what's the last concert that you went to?
Oh, I just went to the Creed concert, and Creed was playing with Fuel and Lit, and I'm probably missing someone else, but Fuel, Lit, and Creed was the last concert I went to because it wasn't that long ago.
That sounds like a hard concert to top because of the hits, the volume, and the crowd was probably very happy there.
Yes. Well, yeah, it was a very crazy, fun, energetic crowd. And then I always go to Warrant at least once every few months.
The next time I interview you, we're going to go deep on Warrant because they're one of the most underrated bands of all time.
Oh my gosh. Well, Jerry is our very good friend and neighbor who created the band, Jerry Dixon. And he's also in my boyfriend's band. So they have a band called the Wine Snobs, and he is their bassist.
I did not know. I knew Jerry made soap. I think he used to make wine. So is he your connection to the wine industry?
No, so Eric's the one, Eric Turner.
Eric Turner, yeah.
The guitarist, he makes the wine, or made the wine. And I met them all because they're all good friends with my boyfriend. So that's how I met them. Yeah.
My mind is blown. I got into the Warrant bubble by writing a book about David Lee Roth, and one of their big tours was opening up for Roth.
Oh, wow, cool. Well, they are the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
And
such great guys.
And the small world of it, to rudely interrupt you before I let you go, is Kevin from Lit used to play in Janie Lane's band.
Okay, so yeah, I know Kevin very well. So that's why we even went. That's why we went to the Creed Lit Fuel concert, because we know Kevin.
And
Kevin took world the photos. That you just mentioned him.
Kevin took the photos for the David Lee Roth book, and there you go.
He did?
He did.
Oh, I'm gonna have to ask him about that. That's cool.
Well, I'll say hey to him for you. Congrats again on Wineville. And looking forward to whatever's coming next, whether you're on camera, behind camera, or just, coming up with the whole thing.
And if people would go to winevillemovie.com, I would love it, because we just got our DVDs and you can get an autographed copy, which has all the bonus features, the actor auditions, all that awesome stuff. So please go to winevillemovie.com, get that, or to also take you to where you can watch it, Amazon and Apple and all that good stuff.
Paltrocast. How are you doing today?
Non-stop but good. Yourself, Skee?
Same, man. I'm excited to be here, man. It's great to connect with you.
Well, pleasure is mine. It's great to be speaking with you because you've been successful in so many different things. We're not just going to talk about the DJ career with the mixtapes, the Realist, Dash Radio, Skee TV, the mixtapes, the Metaverse Handbook, etc. But we're here to talk about Tony Gwynn. When did you first become a fan of Mr. Gwynn?
I mean, I fell in love with baseball as a kid, right? And anybody growing up in the 90s, Tony Gwynn was the greatest hitter that we ever saw in our lifetime, especially the way the game has gone towards an extreme opposite. I don't think you're ever going to see a hitter like him again. The closest comparison is probably Ted Williams, but I never got to see Ted Williams play live. So to me, Tony Gwynn is the greatest hitter of all time. And not only his skill on the field, but his leadership off the field. He was always the nicest guy. He was always smiling, always laughing. I never got to meet him personally, but you feel like you knew him. And I think, and the rumor, what everybody said was how incredible a human he was. So to be able to work with these things is just phenomenal. And, for me, I feel like it's part of my job now to help keep that legacy alive, to a whole new generation that never got to see him play, and leverage my platform and audience to share my memories and my experience as a fan through these kind of historical artifacts that document why, in my eyes, he was, the greatest.
You mentioned being a 90s kid, growing
Yeah.
up primarily in the 90s myself. I remember MTV had Rock and Jock, and that was
The
the first time that
best.
I really connected, like, oh, the musicians want to be athletes, the athletes want to be musicians. And you kind of realize that. What was your entry into the sports world for music?
Same thing, right? Like growing up, I thought I was going to be a pro baseball player. I fell in love with music when I was, a teenager, and knew that DJing was what I was going to do. So I shifted all my focus to that, but always was like obsessed and in love with sports. And through being in music, right? Like there was that exact crossover. Rock and Jock was my favorite thing in the world as a kid, right? Like somebody should bring it back. So loved that. And, as I got into being successful in the music world, all these athletes started wanting to come by the studios, and we started filming content with them, and I'd connect Kendrick Lamar with Kevin Durant. We'd create songs, and they'd record a verse together, and then they'd go to a game together. And like, again, there was both sides were more intrigued by the other than, they were. And, every athlete, they don't want to talk about sports. Every rapper doesn't want to talk about music. They want to talk about rappers want to talk about music, athletes want to talk about, or athletes want to talk about music, rappers want to talk about sports. So like, it was just a natural crossover for me to be in. And by being kind of in my position, that enabled me to get a deep look into the sports world. And from there, I figured, how to actually make a career of that, starting from, game day entertainment, empowering and DJing at, stadiums like University of Michigan, Minnesota Vikings, SoFi with the Los Angeles Rams, NASCAR, you name it, right? Just getting embedding myself into that world. And, now at The Realist, kind of using my skills and my background as a storyteller, to highlight and really present these artifacts that, I think are just, insane and I love. And I've always been a collector my whole life. So it just all kind of came together.
That was one of the things I actually wanted to know about. Is sometimes you find that people around entertainment and sports have nothing but memorabilia in their home. And then there's other people you'd never know what their profession is based on what they're looking around. You see behind me 8x11s and posters. There's all the wall spaces taken up. For you in your home, is it all memorabilia all the time?
Yeah, I just don't even have, it gets to the point where you just start putting stuff away, right? Because you have so much, and you like things have life cycles. And that's why we're so excited. We've built, this built-in secondary market that allows, because I think, you might get sick of viewing anything if it's a painting or whatever. You might just want to move on from that. So we try to make it easy for our consumers to also do that with a click of a button. But yeah, like, it's as you see around me, and it's, there's no limits. The biggest challenge is figuring out what to display, right?
So this auction, which people can still bid on as we talk for another week and a half or so, are you already thinking about the next auction, the next partnership? Is that how your workflow goes, where you're thinking 8 steps ahead?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we're very fortunate. We have an incredible group of partners, like, working with the Gwynn estate and Mrs. Gwynn and his entire family has been amazing. I've known the family for a little while, and coming together on this project, which made sense. And again, I'm so excited by even like looking at the way that we shoot and some of the content that we've put out and the reaction that we've gotten from fans. I can't wait to see what's going to happen with this. And there will be much more coming with the Gwynns, as well as other, legacy, players in the States. But on the realist side, you probably see this crazy thing behind me where, launching an entire auction with Gladiator 2. We have all the props from the film, which is going to be, one of the, biggest, if not the biggest film of the year. And it's just not only a really incredible film. Gladiator 1 to me is one of the best films of all time. Gladiator 2 is incredible. We just got to see it a couple days ago. But the props are really cool. Like, even if you don't like Gladiator, it's Roman armor and helmets and stuff. So we have such cool things. And we have things from NFL teams. We have a partnership with the Miami Heat we're super excited about. We're even like upcycling items from the stadium as they did a huge renovation. It's really nonstop over here. So we're excited. For me, it's really working direct with the source. That's the way that we do at The Realist. And in essence, allowing us to kind of give fans a new way to engage with fans in a way that hasn't been done from the source, in a premium and really elevated way that not only, you know, is an opportunity for people to own things in a business side, but something that really is great content and great storytelling. That's the foundation of what we try to do at The Realist.
One of the credits I called out earlier, the book that you wrote, the Metaverse Handbook. See, it's interesting to me how this all ties together, because when I was a kid and you heard about auctions and celebrity estate sales, usually it was at places like Sotheby's and Christie's, where it had to be this classy on-site thing where everyone had to gather and get specifically invited. But your auctions seem to be open worldwide and anybody can participate. In other words, you kind of went against the traditional model for all these things, open it up to everyone and kind of let everyone enjoy what it is.
You nailed it, right? Like, we don't want to, and to be clear, like, we are not an auction house. So, you know, I don't want to compete. We don't want to play in the same lane that the Sotheby's of the world are in, and many other auction sites. The way that they work, right, is people go to them, they can sign items, they sell them, and that's kind of the end of it. That's great and that's awesome. And I just sold an Otani card with Sotheby's, right? Like, so we have, you know, I have good relationships with all the auction houses. What we do is a little bit different. It really starts with authentication, and we only work with the source. We are there and we collect items directly from them. We use witness-based authentication for our gold stickers and silver-based authentication for our archival stickers. But again, we are not taking anything from a third party. And for us, it's presenting these in an elevated ways. With Gladiator, we're building museums across the country. With even Tony Gwynn, we have a display up in New York City at Bleecker Trading, where you can go actually view his gold glove in person, and you get a free card that we've created as part of this giveaway if you show up. Right. And it's this entire campaign. It's not just the act of selling. It's how we collect, how we authenticate, how we storytell, how we maximize, and how we allow fans to own these artifacts from history that are without question real, because there's no question on provenance. Like, you know, again, you just truly never know anything that you're getting from a third party. I mean, it could even, the people that own it might not even know what's out there. The stats are, you know, staggering, seeing what's real and what's fake. And that's why we decided to launch this business. It really comes down to the authentication. And we just provide the pipes and the tools for our partners to sell these items, you know, on kind of their own whim, with their own control, their look and feel, their branding, integrate into their own websites. So it's all kind of something natural for them, giving them this new service versus being just the typical auction site. And that's why, you know, we saw the void in the market. There's nobody doing what we are doing at The Realist, from the highest level of authentication to these like kind of white label sites and solutions that allow us to spin these sites up for our partners really quickly. And that's why what we do is really unique and kind of fits this unique niche within the industry that doesn't exist.
Paltrocast.